He says,
Hey, sis. You can't make me laugh today because
"Oh, that's a challenge. Challenge accepted."
I mean, this is so embarrassing. As you know, I had some dental work done this morning. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm talking out of the side of my mouth. Shut up. I have to talk with my hand over my
I'm
face.
sorry. I mean, it's not like you're permanently defected.
I know, but it looks like I've had a stroke, unfortunately.
I
But
just wish you
and
were
it
like
feels
high on
like
some
it.
laughing gas.
I asked for a laughing gas and they're like, you don't need it. And I was like, really? I mean,
I
I
really
really,
don't give that out enough.
I know. I was kind of excited about the appointment this morning because I thought, ooh, maybe I'll get some gas because I know that they're going to probably numb me. They were pulling out all these drills. And I said, oh, excuse me, do you think I should get some laughing gas? She's like, oh, no, I think. And I was like, damn it. I
You're
was
like,
really
"Are you
hoping to
sure?"
get a buzz this morning before the show. Anyway, so
Anyway,
lots to discuss.
oh my gosh. I mean,
Where do we
it was a
begin?
rage-tastic weekend.
It sure was.
All right.
Okay.
You want to go first? You want me to go
Well,
first?
you went first. Well,
Okay.
let's just say that if you listened last week, I was trying to figure out my Mother's Day plans because it's the first Mother's Day that I've been able to plan exactly what I want to do. And so Whitney suggested that we go to a rage room. And she was kind of joking, but no, I took it very
I
seriously. And I
wasn't
booked
joking.
us tickets to a rage room. And then you decided that it would be great for
Well,
mom.
yeah, Mama got so excited when we were talking about it on the
Yeah.
pod. She's like, "I want to go do that." And so I found one in Arlington and I booked it, but I didn't tell her. So I planned it and I was like, "We'll pick you up at said time." And so we get in the car and I have the video of it, of me telling her. And I'm like, "Mom, what do you think we're doing?" And she's like, "Well, I hope we're going to go find a lake house that maybe y'all just bought." And I'm like, "Well,
What?
I don't know what world you're living in, but that's not
What?
happening."
She's shooting for the start. She's thinking big.
And so I said, "Do you remember what we talked about on the podcast last week?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, we're going to go." She goes, "Is it a rage room?" I said, "Yes." She's like, "Oh my God." So we drive out to Arlington and we're suiting up because they made us wear like full, like Dickie suits and like the big
I had
head
to,
masks.
yeah.
But I failed to tell Mom to bring closed-toed shoes or at least wear them.
Right. Now,
So
did
she's
you
in
tell her that
sandals
you were going to a rage room while y'all were still at home or in the car?
in the car on the way there.
Oh, there's the fail. Okay. Because
And
I
I
was like, if
didn't think about it.
yeah, okay.
That's on me. The guy that was helping us out in the little room area was like, "Well, I mean, I have these like boots over here that are like my hunter boots." So she's trying to put those on with her sandals on. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I don't want to go barefoot in there." And I'm like, "Mom, that's really not going to work." And so the guy's like, "Well, ma'am, what size are you?" And she's like, "A 7.5."
Oh
And
my
he's like, "Well,
God.
I think that's my size." And he's like, "Here, you can wear my boots."
Well, how lucky for mom that the man behind the counter was a petite 7.5 women's. Oh,
Exactly.
what was the style of
So
boots?
they were like hiking boots.
It's
It was
so
so
funny.
funny. So we get into the rage room. We bought the package with the camera. Lance is in there with us and he's trying to plan like some videos for content and stuff. And he's like, "Okay, girls." And Mom just starts wailing on this like car door that they had in there. She takes this mallet,
She
just
can't
like
even
hitting the shit out
wait.
of it.
Mhm.
Oh, it was so funny. And we were dying laughing. I want to know if you experience this. You can tell us. Um, we were like throwing plates and bottles against like the wall and it wasn't smashing. They're like popping back at us. We're like
Ye
dodging our own shrapnel.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of dodging of shrapnel, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
And we realized that these little mallets, they weren't going to work. So
Mhm.
you can pay $10 to go to the legendary weapons. It's like a giant wrench, just a baseball bat. It's a tennis racket. It's a thing with
Tennis racket.
chains.
Oh, that's
I
kind
mean,
of
that was
fun.
kind of fun. But so we had to upgrade
Yeah.
and that did the job. But we've got some great video and it was so much fun.
Yeah, I will say that mine was a little bit different because I did suit up. The funny
Mhm.
thing is they let the girls wear because they both had, well, Reagan had on a hoodie and
Right.
Vivi had on a t-shirt, and they said, well, she's going to have to wear the dickie because I had a sweatshirt on. But Vivi was like, oh, I don't want to wear like one of those gross dickies. And plus they were all like so big. So I
Yeah.
gave her my sweatshirt and I put on the dickie. So the funniest thing is I didn't even think about this, but the sweatshirt she's wearing, it says peace and love on it, which is kind of hysterical because she's in
Peace
there
and love.
raging.
Peace
Yeah.
and love.
But we got in there and we didn't have to upgrade to a camera package. They had a tripod in there, so you could just put your phone in there and record. What kind of sucked about the place we went to, they only gave us 30 coffee mugs. That's what it is. Like they're
Only
like
mugs?
only mugs. But we had all these crazy weapons. We had a sledgehammer. We had baseball bats. We had crowbars. And then in the rage room, in addition to the cups, was a tire and like a plastic, a really heavy plastic, like oil barrel type of thing,
Yeah.
you know? So, we were smashing all of that and kicking it, and we were throwing shit against the wall. And you're right, like most, it would break, but like sometimes into big pieces. So then we'd pick that up and just start smashing it. Now, Rayanne just went in too. It was like smashing it before the lady could leave the room. She was just very excited. Vivi, it was a little like, oh, and watching back on the video, she's quite timid. But Reagan and I are just raging. And then there's this like one part, like Reagan was watching the video on the ride home, and she goes, Mommy, what was going through your mind during this little move? And I look at the video and I'm like, I have the crowbar and I'm just beating the tire over and over and over again. And I was like, I don't know, probably the last year of my life.
Oh,
And
I might have need 40 minutes for that.
Oh God. And so it was quite the experience. And then we get in the car and Reagan was like, I just want to listen to some like peaceful, relaxing music. And I was like, yeah. So we put on Lizzie McAlpine and we drove home. It was hysterical. And we started off at a beautiful picnic in the park underneath the trees. It was very zen. The breeze was blowing. It was 75 degrees. It was just lovely. And then we went full rage.
I love that.
We got to experience all the feels, shall we say. I want to find one where there's more there's a more diverse range of items to destroy. Did you get to do like a computer or anything?
We got a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
We got bottles like of alcohol, like empty bottles of like Jack Daniels and like Parrot Bay rum, which are very hard to break.
Who knew?
We like throw that at the wall and it ricochets back at you.
It's dangerous.
I mean, it could have knocked Mom out.
I heard it like a couple different times. The girls were like, ow! I did too. I got a scream. I screamed too. Like shit came back at us. It was a great day.
Huge Mother's Day success.
It was a huge Mother's Day success. Best one yet.
All around.
Last week, the girls and I were invited to a dinner party. You know, we don't get invited out much to dinner parties. And our friends of the show, the Smoke Sisters, had us over for dinner.
Yeah. How was that?
It was so nice. And they made just a smorgasbord of lemon chicken and pasta and Brussels sprouts and broccoli. And it was so sweet. And then for dessert, it was quite the treat. Now, I forget what they called it. There's a special name for it. What they do is they take an entire tub of Nestle Toll House, Nestle Toulouse cookie dough, and they just put a big thing of it, big brick of it in a pie pan, you know, like a 8x8 pie dish.
It's called a pizookie.
That's what it's called. You know what? You've had that before, and they bake it up.
There's a restaurant in Phoenix where I went to school.
That's exactly what it is.
And you would go and get the pizookie, and it's fucking amazing. Like
it's amazing.
Panty dropper.
And we all just had spoons, and we were digging in there.
Did it have ice cream on it?
Well, they got Ready Whip out for it, and this is how it turned into a complete free-for-all. Apparently there's a TikTok trend. You spray Ready Whip on your wrist, then you hit your upper arm, and the whip flies up in the air, and then you're trying to catch it in your mouth. So we were having a contest. Now, I'm horrible at this game. I couldn't even get it off my wrist. However, the girls were getting some flyers. It ended up in the eye. It ended up in the face, the hair. So anyway, that was hysterical. And I have some really funny video of that.
That is really funny.
I think
I
you'd really
kind of want to
enjoy
try
that
it.
game. I really think you'd enjoy it, Whitney.
I think I might have to do that.
I've definitely had my fun with Ready Whip in the
I was about
past.
to say, and then it's all gone.
It hasn't ever been like that. I've never used it in that capacity before, but I have wasted it before. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's
Um,
funny.
so
Well, maybe I'll try it on Thursday because I've decided, in honor of our guest today,
mhm.
that I'm going to have a Pizza Girl pizza party.
Great. That sounds so fun.
Yes,
And make a
yes,
Suzuki or whatever. No,
Pizookie. Oh,
Pazuki.
okay,
Make a
okay.
Pazuki with the
Maybe
whipped
I'll do
cream.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So today's guest is Caroline D'Amore, the owner and founder of Pizza Girl, which is it's just so fun. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing my Pizza Girl apron that she sent me that I'm obsessed with. So I gifted Vivi the
Mhm.
Pizza Grill, and then they sent me the grill, they sent me the peel, they sent me the slicer, they sent me
Mhm.
this apron, they
Mhm.
sent me
The sauce, right?
all three sauces,
Mm.
vodka, spicy, original.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, this is quite funny. I'm at Central Market yesterday
Mhm.
and I'm looking for roasted red peppers because I was going to make her pizza that you can go to her stores and buy, and or her restaurants that you can buy. And I was going to make a little riff of that. And looking for the red peppers, and there's this woman, and she's looking at the sauces, and I see that Pizza Girl sauce is at Central Market, and I
Oh.
was like, oh. And I say to the lady, I was like, that sauce is really good. And she's like, okay, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and then I hear that she's on FaceTime
Huh?
and she's like talking to her mom, and she's like, Mom, I mean, do we really need 4 tubes of tomato sauce? And I'm just like, oh my God, classic
Yeah.
mom.
Right,
And so
right.
I go to the next aisle and I come back and she's holding the jar of Pizza Girl pizza sauce.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh my God, are you going to buy that? And
Mhm.
she's like, um, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I was like, well, she's on my podcast, Caroline D'Amore, who is the founder of Pizza Girl. She's coming on my podcast this Thursday. And she said, oh, okay. I'm really looking for something with no sugar. And I was like, it doesn't have any sugar, zero sugar. It's all organic.
Oh my god.
And
That's
she's like, okay, then.
hilarious.
And so she gets 2 jars and walks off. And I'm like, I'm totally going to talk about this on the podcast. She's like,
Yes.
you better.
Did you give her our podcast name so she can tune in and listen?
I didn't because like she just wasn't really that
Engaged.
friendly
Yeah,
and was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the hell are you doing talking to me?
Yeah.
Um,
But you sold 2 jars for Caroline, so you
I
should
think that I'm going to propose to Caroline that I should be a rep here
yeah, you could go
in
set up
Dallas
a
and
little
start
table
sending
and
getting
samples.
samples out.
Yeah, I love that idea. That'd be
Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah,
You have the apron, so you can
I
just
do. I'm
cruise
ready to
over.
go.
All
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, I'm going to have some girls over on Thursday and we
So
did
how
a
did your
test run.
pizzas turn out last night?
They were really good. The pizza and the cook time and how easy it is to use that pizza grill is
Mhm.
insane.
I know, it's incredible. It's like my favorite new
It's
thing.
really awesome. And
And
that sauce is so good.
I know I wanna go get some
I
sauce. I
think
was
I don't
actually
want to name names, but I think the one that we usually use, I think it's
mm,
kind of out for me. I'm a pizza girl now.
one last thing about I wanna just mention before we get into Caroline's episode is that they have graciously given us a code to use if if any of our listeners want to purchase this pizza grill we can't stop talking about. It is go to pizzagirl.com and the code is hey pizza 15 HEYPIZZA 15 for a 15% discount off of her incredible pizza grill.
And sauces and
And yeah,
aprons
everything.
and
It isn't
sweatshirts.
just pink. If you want to get it as a Father's Day gift, they do make them in white as well.
True.
We're part of the Pink Pony Club, so we love the pink. But anyway, yeah, we should get into it.
Let's
Really
do it.
fascinating episode. This girl
Oh,
is like, whoa.
doesn't need an intro,
It
but she
doesn't.
is awesome. All right. Well, love your show, sis.
Love your show.
Hey, sis.
Hey, sis.
Courtney, back in my 20s,
Yeah.
I was dating a guy whose family had a house in Malibu. And we'd go out there on the weekends and always stop at D'Amore's
I
Pizza.
remember. You turned me on to it.
I did. That relationship did not last. but that pizza stuck with me. So I kind of feel like I maybe manifested this guest today, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, totally. Well,
Yeah.
we have some real Malibu royalty with us today, and our listeners will know her from shows like Food Stars with Gordon Ramsay and The Hills. But people in LA also know that her family has these legendary restaurants called D'Amore's Pizza, but we know her as the Pizza Girl, a badass, beautiful woman who created her own line of organic sauces, indoor pizza grill, which we'll get into later. It's like the most insane thing ever. And has now opened 2 Pizza Girl restaurants, one in Venice at the Hotel Irwin and on Sunset at Hotel Ziggy. So help me welcome to Hey Sis Eat This, the princess of pizza, Caroline D'Amore. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, it's really exciting. And I'll tell you that you just came on my radar a couple months ago because I was displaced by the fires. I lived in the Palisades and was living at my ex-husband-in-law's house, which was like not the most ideal situation. My 12-year-old daughter came in and she goes, Mommy, there's this show that I think you'll really like since you have a podcast about food. I'm like, what is it? She's like, it's a Gordon Ramsay show called Food Stars. I was like, all right, let's watch it. So we got addicted and Caroline was a contestant on the show. And it just like brought joy to us. We watched it every night.
Major contradiction from how they portrayed me on the show, huh?
Oh, yeah, I know.
I always say everyone when they come up to me, and these 2 cute girls came up to me yesterday, they're like, we loved you on the show. I was like, I'm not as evil as they portrayed me to be.
I didn't think you were evil. I thought you were
It was really
badass.
Really hard. So thank you.
I started like going down the Caroline rabbit hole and I saw on your Instagram that you were out there with the first responders for the fires. And I was just like, wow, what a kind person. I want to reach out to her. Was your home affected by the fires?
Yes. So we lost my father's house in Malibu, the one that I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Completely gone. He didn't even get a single thing out. And my house was right up Topanga, like off PCH, and I'm back in here now.
Thank you for doing what you did to all of the first line workers and the people that were affected. That was really kind and delicious of you.
In really scary moments, I've learned there's like fight, flight, or freeze, and I just jump into like fight mode. Something from my childhood, but it can be good and bad. In this situation, it was good. So yeah, I just like to help as many people and as much as I possibly can while I have this time here.
Yeah, good karma.
This earth. Yeah.
I mentioned my love of D'Amore's famous pizza, and it's really like an iconic staple in LA. Like if you know, you know. So tell us a little bit about the history of your family's restaurant.
My mom passed away when I was 5 years old. So my dad was stuck with 4 little girls. So
can't even imagine.
Yeah. I mean, by himself, really not knowing how to do it at all. So I do give him, sympathy in that area for a lot of that. We didn't have nannies people here. I grew up in Malibu and they think I had this charmed life, but it's kind of funny when I always say like we were the kid from the wrong side of the beach, we were the ones like in the apartment building across the street. I ended up having to go, often nights with my dad, even on school nights, catering these movie sets. And actually what's really funny is the night before last, I ran into Patricia Heaton and she was on Everybody Loves Raymond.
Of course. I love her.
And I went up to her. Yes, I love her. And I went up to her and I said, this is going to sound so weird, but like, I love you. And I was like serving you pizza when I was like 7 years old on the set of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
I even have pictures in these shirts that said Pizza Kid. My dad, he would put us in these shirts that said Pizza Kid, like
Adorable.
Why else are these kids like working at such a
Child
young
labor.
age, sleeping at school because we're up all night. It was hard, but it's also definitely the thing that gave me my work ethic. Around like the 2000s was like the height of D'Amore's, where he really had, I think, up to like, I don't even know, like maybe like 12 locations.
Wow.
Around that time. And it was going really well. And it was all word of mouth and hard work and a great quality product. And that's really what I got from it.
Right.
But I'm not going to lie, like it wasn't a charmed life. It was really tough, but I did gain a lot from it. Like I know that I had this ingrained.
You knew how to work. You learned how to work. Yeah. And work hard.
And I watch the kids now and it's like, they just don't. they just
Right.
don't have that work ethic. So I am trying to instill a lot of that in my daughter. After my divorce, I really had to reconfigure my entire life, and I had to take her with me, to standing in supermarkets, giving out samples, doing whatever I could. So she's gaining a lot of that.
She's
too.
going to be better for it, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
And that's what your father did that with you.
Yeah.
You passed that on. So you're
Absolutely.
doing that with your
I am
daughter.
also trying to unlearn a lot of the things, though, to
Sure.
be better for my kids than I had,
Yeah, I think that's the purpose of when we have these children, is to do better. I think every parent does the best they can with what they're given, and each generation tries to do better, and we're still going to fuck them up in some way.
Yeah,
it's inevitable, but it's we try the best we can. I'm a single mom too, so it's definitely been I'm a new single mom, so it's definitely interesting transition right now, and with its own challenges.
I have a lot of sympathy for you. I have a real soft heart for moms in general.
Thank you. Well, picking up your pizza girl, marry me margarita pizza last night at your shop, sure, put dinner on the table quickly, and it was affordable, and it was amazing, and I appreciate it.
And you can feel good about putting that product in your kids' bodies. Pizza Girl is really on the forefront of changing the narrative. I think honestly, America has destroyed the name of pizza and really put it into that fast food category that just never belonged in. When you really dive into the food industry, which I've been forced to do because of my brand, you see all the lies on the labels. They're willing to harm our children just to make an extra buck.
It's terrible.
It's gross.
Well, the food industry is lucky to have you, but I want to go back a little bit because you weren't always in the restaurant and food world. Your resume includes DJ, model, singer, bathing suit designer, actress, reality TV star. I mean, that's a lot in one lifetime.
Yeah.
And you're like, what, 40? At what age did you start working?
So I'm severely dyslexic, on the major end of the spectrum.
School must have been horrific for you.
It was absolutely horrific. I also did not have the help or support that, I pray that all these kids have these days.
Yeah.
I was made to, feel stupid, and I was made to feel like I didn't fit in. I also have severe ADD. So I couldn't get through school. School it's not made for kids like me, and I dropped out. I also didn't have parents that could help me or knew what to do with me. So
you didn't have the resources.
Yeah. So my last completed grade is 9th grade.
Wow.
And people are always like, isn't that illegal? And I'm like, I'm sure it is, but nobody came for me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I walked into my, I think 2nd week of 10th grade, and I just was like, that's it. I'm out.
Done. Yeah.
I walked out. And then it was really like, okay, how am I going to survive?
Well, what did your dad say? Did you say, did you have that conversation? I'm not going back to school?
The truth is my dad gave up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He gave up at that point. He was done. He couldn't do it anmore.
Couldn't control four
girls that were really struggling in life. And, he gave up on us.
Yeah.
And kind of told us and told other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that forced you to behave your own way, make your own money.
Yeah. So I started at 17 years old. So when my mom died, she was a flight attendant. And back then you were given free flights on you could fly non-rev. And I knew that. I got a flight to New York, and I stayed at my older sister's friend's house for a few months on her couch.
Wow.
All these jobs you're naming, I did out of survival. I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I had no other skills. I knew I had this will to survive. And I got a modeling agent. It was enough for me to get a really shitty sublease studio apartment. It was just getting small jobs, enough to kind of pay the bills, sending home, Teen Vogue and, Marie Claire and whatever magazine I was in this week, to at least let my family know I was alive. I'm successful. I'm surviving, I'm doing great. But there's a really real dark side to the modeling industry at a young age. I ended up in Jeffrey Epstein's house, thinking I was going to a modeling audition. I was basically like recruited by some model who I thought was my friend. She picked up on the fact that I was alone in New York with no parents. So I was, prime.
Oh my God.
Prime.
Yeah.
And she was like, you got to go to this modeling casting. He books everything from Victoria's Secret to this and that.
Wow.
And I showed up at this brownstone in New York. I'm 17 years old, but I ended up, in a dark room with a massage table and this man who came in a towel. And I froze. And that was actually the moment when I knew. I was like, I either have to play along. And I have so much sympathy for the girls that ended up going further than I did, because you don't know, is this person going to kill you?
Right.
Is this, if you don't do what he asks,
right.
Right.
So I stood there for much longer than I wish I did. I was like, he thinks I'm a masseuse. Like, do I just pretend and like give him a massage? Like, all the different thoughts went through my head. But ultimately, when he put his hand up my shirt, I screamed. They knew how old I was, because for the audition, they know how old you are. And I remember I just said, I turned into a very aggressive human being in that moment. And I knew in that moment that I was a fighter.
Yeah.
And I just said, I don't want to cuss on this, but I just
You can
screamed.
cuss. We have
said, what the fuck off me, like that. And I swear to God, he jumped off the table.
Good for you.
In actual fear, and like started throwing $100 bills at me and was like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is a misunderstanding. And I was like, how the F do I get out of here? Yeah. And I just remember running down, and the butler who like escorted me into the room, I see him and I'm like, how do I get out of here? And he's like, just down the stairs and through the hall.
He probably knew what was going on.
He knew what was going to happen. He saw my face. He looked sad when he brought me up to that room. And I never will forget the look on his face. I don't know that they had dealt with a girl that was this aggressive.
No, because 99% of the girls are not going to have that fight instinct, and that's how they get manipulated.
But I feel so much sympathy for them, because there was a moment when I questioned, and I know how they were feeling.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it makes me very emotional. Sorry.
I know.
Sure.
For me, like, I have a lot of regret in that situation. And I think a lot of people do this in very traumatic situations. And a lot of people I've spoken to with trauma as a child, that you try to block it out. You try to pretend it never happened. So I remember I got out of the building and I ran all the way back down to my house, which is in like Chelsea, like I just did not stop running. And I didn't tell anyone except for my best friend, Hamilton. Months and months later, like I had moved home. I was so scared. I didn't tell my modeling agency. Like, over the years, I always had this like aching feeling of like, who was that? Like whoever that was, he was really big, because he had photos on the wall of,
because at this point you didn't know it was Jeffrey Epstein.
Had no idea, you guys, until the documentary came out recently.
Oh my God.
So, and it was something my best friend and I would always talk about.
Yeah.
Like, who was it? Like, we would try to rack our brains, because I had this fear that it was happening to other girls, and I wanted to do something, but it was like, I couldn't figure it out. I had blocked all of that out in my life. It was years later to when I really like tried to figure it out and like face it. But then after my divorce, I was dating a guy who had seen the documentary, and he had heard the story, and he said to me, Caroline, this sounds just so crazy, because there's so many similarities. The brownstone on the Upper East Side, the pictures you've described on the wall, the massage table and massage room, like,
wow.
Like the woman that was like lurking in the shadows. Like, there was all these things that were
adding up.
Adding up. And he was like, if you saw the guy's face, would you remember it? And I said, without a doubt, it's never left my mind. And he shows me the, the picture. And I was just like, oh my God, like, that's him. So the guilt, I think that I have for not doing more. Again, I was only 17. So what?
No, you can't judge yourself for that, because you're doing it now. And
but I mean, it is what made me this like real fighter, and to stand up for other people big time.
Yeah.
Which led me to the whole podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And your career, and just like, but fighting for everything in your life. It sounds like you've done that, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but you're helping a lot of people by sharing that story. So thank you.
The goal is for us to encourage and teach women that they can stand up and
They
that
can
they
fight.
can be honest and they can fight and they don't have to hold that in.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm already teaching my daughter that.
Yeah.
I'm
You
teaching her
have to.
like fight.
You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's sad
Yeah.
that we have to.
It's sad
But
that
It
we have
is.
to, but it's the reality.
Yeah.
Yep.
For
It is.
sure.
Well, let's get back to pizza.
Okay.
Because
Sorry.
No.
My life.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you shared that. It's amazing. And you're wonderful for that. More stories need to be shared like that. So I want to hear, where did you come up with Pizza Girl and the sauce? What brought you back to the sauce?
Yeah. So again, it was about kind of fighting for what I believed in, which is weird to think in pizza. So in my, Italian, male dominated kind of like family, I wanted to help D'Amore's Pizza be what I knew it could be. At that point, I was like a notorious party girl. That's another part of my life.
Right. We'll get into that.
Yeah. And I had a decade of just being that girl, so that when I came in to be like, I know what I can do for Pizza Girl, nobody took me seriously. It was a fight after fight. So to be honest, Pizza Girl was an FU to my family, to my my ex-husband. I had a D'Amore's Pizza. And it was very hard to even change the logo to be cooler, to change, to do social media. Every step of the way, I was stopped and blocked and told I wasn't good enough. And then in my divorce, he got everything, including that location. Yeah. Yeah. So then I'm left with $200,000 in debt between divorce attorneys and debts that he put on me. He was very angry that I wanted to get out of the marriage. So at a certain point, it was very dumb of me. It wasn't business savvy at all. I just said, take whatever you want.
Just to be done.
Yeah, just to be done, and just leave me Pizza Girl. And Pizza Girl was nothing at the time. It was a trademark that I had filed.
An idea.
An idea. But he knew it meant so much to me. So he was going to fight for that. And he had told me that. And so I said, take everything, I'll rebuild, just leave me the name, leave me Pizza Girl. And I stayed at a friend's house. She's amazing. Her name's Jessie Schulman. I want her to be recognized. She took me and my daughter in for 6 months. The pandemic hits, I'm on unemployment for the first time in my life. I'm trying to keep a smile on my face for my kids.
Pizza Girl at this point, is it just the name, or is it like you knew you wanted to do sauce?
I started the sauce. I started formulating. I found this really cute mom and pop kind of cannery with these like two 70-year-olds. And we were canning jars of Pizza Girl sauce. And I remember I just walked into Erewhon on Beverly. Like, they're like, that's not how you do this. I was like, well, this is how I'm doing this. This is the best sauce you will ever have. My labels were literally like not even properly on. I didn't have proper certifications. I think I taped one on. The jar was just a mess. And she kind of laughed, and she kind of took me in after all these other people in the waiting room actually had legitimate reasons to be there. She kind of just heard my story come directly from my mouth. Her name's Vicky Osana. I'll never forget her. She gave me a chance. It makes me emotional thinking about.
It makes me emotional.
Me too.
She took a spoon out of her desk and took a bite and gave me all the Erewhons right there on the spot.
Jeez.
Wow.
You have really good fortune. You have a guardian angel for sure.
It's my mom.
Yeah.
You got good karma because you get back what you put out.
Yeah. Your mom's looking out for you. That's really...
That's
amazing.
incredible.
That doesn't happen.
But then I had to figure out how to make sauce legally and properly.
Right.
Where did the sauce recipe come from?
It started from just really my taste buds of like growing up with amazing sauce, because my grandmother like literally had red sauce for everything, like a gravy, right? We would just take the red sauce, put it on pizza, put it on pasta, put it on, anything. And it was amazing and fresh and amazing tomatoes and no weird sweetness and additives. And I couldn't believe it for the first time in my life when I was a mom and wanted to quickly feed my daughter something, because I was running around, didn't have time to, make a sauce from morning to night. All the jars, they had all these bad oils, all this extra sodium, like all this crap in it. And they tasted like shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt so bad for the moms of America. I was like, why is this our option here? So I knew I could do that better and quite easily. What I didn't know was how difficult the business side of it was. And I figured that
Oh
out.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, when you were developing your sauce, was there ever like a kitchen conundrum?
Which one?
I know, right?
There was literally thousands.
Yeah.
But so for instance, I got Erewhon, and then I got Bristol Farms, and then I got, 12 local Whole Foods. I was in about 27 stores. To me, it felt really like big. And ultimately it was too much for this small cannery that I was working with. And they didn't tell me that they couldn't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
And I wasn't smart enough at the time to protect myself and protect the company in this way. They took all the ingredients and just heated up the sauce to the regulated amount of heat without doing my process. My process involves sauteing and all these different things, take it out of this. It's very, very specific.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. And I remember tasting it and being like, oh my God, this is the worst tasting sauce I've ever had in my life. I just remember crying on the floor, not knowing what I was going to do. It was already on its way to all the supermarkets.
Oh my God.
These people were not listening to me. They were telling me I was crazy, basically. And I should have sued them and I should have done other things. Instead I took out a loan that really messed with my whole life. I'm just patching up holes my whole life, and continuing to try to go. But that sauce was garbage. And I remember I had to go and take that loan and go buy back all the jars from all the supermarket shelves. And I was doing whatever I could to try to solve it. That's only one of the many disasters. I mean, then I end up on the Gordon Ramsay show.
Yeah.
Only the people that made it to the finale felt the insane rush of Shark Tank style sales. And I just remember from the moment the New York feed aired, it was just like ding, ding, ding,
That's
ding.
so
ding,
exciting.
ding.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
so exciting, but it was also so terrifying.
Right.
I was like, what the heck am I going to do?
Yeah.
Literally, my partners and I found a friend who had a warehouse for all these other things. All my friends, my brand new boyfriend, who's now my husband, are in this warehouse packaging jars of packages for days on end, trying to get these out to the world. I now have all this attention from supermarkets.
Sure.
Every supermarket is saying yes, and we're going to do displays.
Wow.
And guess what? All of my labels are falling off.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
Yep, the biggest order I ever had going to supermarkets.
Oh my
Somehow
God.
my new factory screwed me over in that way, and cheaply put on some glue that didn't stick to the glass. We had to get investigations and all this stuff, and you guys, it was like I had the most attention on my product for once. It's on these displays, and I'm getting calls from all the different store managers that all my labels are falling off.
Oh shit.
Oh my God.
It was awful. I had to go in there. I'm begging everybody to help me tape them on. I'm taping them on.
God.
Supermarkets all over the place. It's just insane.
Well, it's a good thing you're a fighter and resilient because, you'll figure it out. That's amazing. Well, what I want to touch on, because I really genuinely think this is so brilliant. Your Pizza Girl Pizza Grill. Whitney got it for my daughter for her birthday recently.
Cool.
And because she loves to cook and we love making pizza. But I never want to make pizza. They want me to. And I'm like, no, it's too messy. It's too this and do that. Okay. This product is the biggest game changer. It's basically the size of a toaster oven, but it's pink. And you make your pizza on the countertop and it tastes like it just came out of your shop. I'm obsessed with it. Yay. I'm so excited for you. It's like the George Foreman of pizza grills. Explain how this came to be. How'd you even come up with that?
So basically, you discuss, every big company has had major pivots, and you think you're starting out as one thing and you turn into something totally different. And for us, the margin on sauce is so small, right?
Right.
Yeah, sure.
We were going to need something that was going to be more sustainable. Higher ticket item, but also, just a different pivot. And one of the things I really found that was frustrating, and it's always good to go in and solve a problem, right? Like you have to help people and solve a problem, and then people will be, excited. And a big problem was that the pizza oven industry was only made for like rich people. It's got to be this giant oven that costs so much money that's in the backyard. But I was fed up with that. And my business partner went to Australia, and every other house in Australia has these type of like countertop pizza ovens.
Oh.
And I was just like, why don't they really do that here in America? And so we tested out all these different ones, and we really like ended up just kind of perfecting it, like, and also, you know, making it look beautiful and also just like making it work really well.
Yeah.
And it is the best
It's
thing
insane.
ever. And and it's affordable. And we're not forgetting
Yeah.
about moms in apartments like I was,
Like
you
me.
know, like you, exactly, who want to make pizza with your kids, but
Yeah.
you know, don't have this giant backyard and thousands of dollars to spend on a pizza oven that is really hard to use.
So my 12-year-old and her friend were doing it themselves, which
Yeah.
I thought was really fun for them because, you know, it's like a family affair. And the pizza was delicious. I'm really excited for that, for you with that, because I think it's going to be huge. All of our listeners need to go out and buy one.
Thank you so much. We just got our largest order ever.
Oh, really?
But now the tariffs.
Oh,
really
yeah. Well,
Caroline, you mentioned your mom passed away when you were 5, and your dad had 4 daughters to raise. I can't imagine how stressful that was. So how did he handle all of that? What ages were y'all when that happened?
I was 5. We were 4, 5, 7, and 11.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, when we got the news. I think, you know, he tried the best he could.
Mm-hmm.
And while we don't have the best relationship today, I do know that back then he definitely tried the best he could, and I'm sure he's still doing the best he can.
Right.
But you know, we all suffered grief,
sure.
you know, very much so, and really felt like we fell through the cracks, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you close with your sisters?
Yeah. All my sisters and I are very close. It's like we, you know, survived together. So
Bonds you.
Yeah, it does bond you.
That's nice.
What happened to your mom, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind at all. It's another thing that I didn't find out the truth until I was 18 years old. He told us she died of toxic shock from a tampon. And so 4 girls are absolutely terrified.
Oh my God.
Periods, and we're thinking like we're gonna die. Yeah, it was crazy. And the truth is she died of the AIDS virus. And back then he didn't want us to be, you know, ostracized. I'm not ashamed. You know, it also brought, you know, my sisters and I really close together when we finally found out. And so my sisters and I, we really wanted to change that narrative and do whatever we could to help. And so we started walking in the AIDS walks. And we wore these shirts with my mom's picture on it, and we were like walking united. And, you know, some family members really didn't want us being so vocal about it. And I was just like, you know, this is our life too. This is our mom. And we're, you know, she got it from a blood transfusion, a precautionary blood transfusion that she didn't even need, that they didn't check the blood, you know, which spirals us down this whole like anti-doctor,
fear
you know,
of medical,
fear of medical, everything. My whole family is in that boat. And then in those AIDS walks, you know, it was the first time I ever saw true hate in my life. You know, people spending their days coming out to like, you know, tell us that we're going to go to hell and all these cruel things to like the gay community that walked alongside us. And, you know, that's when I was just like, that's really when my like advocacy for people who are treated badly kind of started.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You mentioned that your grandmother gave you the sauce and always had that sauce cooking. Was there a favorite dish that she made?
Yes, and I wish I had the recipe to that, and it haunts me daily that I don't have it and can't make it. But she did this like ribs in a red sauce, and I just remember like the ribs would fall. It was like almost like brisket style, where it was like it would like just pull apart. And I remember the smell. It was the best thing we all had.
You can recreate that. I think just start experimenting.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Time
we can help you.
Figure that out. Yeah.
That's really
We'll
awesome.
start researching.
Yeah, and it was so good. Oh my
Oh,
God.
That
wow.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, and it was just with, whatever pasta. My dad would send us to the East Coast for summers when we were little. So my grandmother on both sides, that's where I got the good meals around the dinner
Yeah.
table. So I do want to say, like, I did have that in my life, and that was in Boston
Yeah.
over the summers, and would give my dad a break, and we'd be there with our grandparents, and that was the best time we had growing up,
I was
for
going to
sure.
say, it sounds very grounding
It
and
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
nurturing.
Nurtured and fed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know from like this research that you were out and about with Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian and Nicole Ritchie. You were like a party girl, not a pizza girl, a party girl.
I mean, you have to think I'm the only one and like when the media doesn't know what to make of you,
Yeah.
they'll just make their own story up. Right. So
Yep.
I was this girl that, like, there was no reason really in their mind, it was a big time, for heiresses. It was a big time for like rich kids. And like, I wasn't one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I somehow continued to end up in those worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And then like DJing really like put me on the map
Mm.
in a more legitimate way, because I was really good at it. I was one of the first females. I did it before all these other girls.
Mm.
And I did it really big. I had 2 record
Yeah.
deals with Universal and Sony in Japan, and
Wow.
I toured the whole world. I had one of the first major female residencies in Las Vegas.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But then the party lifestyle, like you mentioned, it really took me down. I lost a lot of friends, mentors, and I almost died. I ended up in the hospital. So it really, it was a hard party lifestyle of living on the edge and not giving an F. But at the end of the day, what I realized is that all my friends, like, if they got a DUI, if they got into trouble, they had huge teams and really rich parents to help them change the story in the media and get them out of trouble.
Yeah.
I realized very quickly that I didn't have that. People think I'm like this like thing that I'm not, and it's just and I was never like fake about it. I never said I had all this money. You could see that I worked hard. You could see that, like, when I was, a kid, I was delivering pizzas,
You had all of these different experiences to bring you to this place where you've really arrived, and like, who you are now. Like, you are the pizza girl, and you've created this incredible, wholesome and beautiful brand that encompasses like your mom, the memory of your mom, your grandma, everything that you love, pink. And it's like, you've just arrived to this really wonderful place, and you wouldn't be here if you hadn't gone through all of those experiences.
That really means a lot to me.
It's
and
true.
I want to touch on that as one of the things I speak about when I'm asked to like speak, which is a whole new world for me, which is very interesting that people want to hear what I have to say. But in the work space, one of the things I really want the younger generation to know is that I tried to be everything I thought I had to be to fit in for so many years. And it took me to a really dark place. And the moment I admitted who I was to not only the world, but myself, the moment I said, you know what, I am the pizza girl. I was, 6 years old on the set of Everybody Loves Raymond wearing a shirt that said pizza girl. I did, deliver pizzas as my first job. That is who I am. The second I admitted who I was and was proud of it, everything came together. People believe you when you are telling the truth. And if I could tell the kids anything, it's love who you are. Be exactly who you are. Love, the space in your teeth and your crooked nose. I had people tell me to fix. Like, love everything about you and tell the world who you are. Because the moment you do, everything is going to fall into place.
I couldn't agree more.
We are running from who we are.
Authenticity is everything.
Everything came. Investors came. People who wanted to buy, my product came. They believed me because it was the truth. And people want to buy the truth. They don't want them.
It's
like,
really beautiful, Caroline.
Thank you. I feel I'm so passionate about it.
If you could come talk to my 14-year-old right now
I will.
about all of that.
I will. I do that. Yeah, I go to schools and I talk to kids.
I think it's interesting, Caroline, you said that, once you put away all those other things you're trying to be, it's almost like you took that shield that was happening in your life away. And that's when all the good started to come in.
Yeah.
And I think I just got the chills.
Yeah.
I gave them to myself. But I think that's such an important lesson, just to be your authentic self and feel the feels and find your truth. And that's when people find you. That's when the good stuff starts to come in.
It's the truth, you know?
Yeah.
It's the
Mhm.
absolute truth. It's the only thing I know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned your podcast, and I love that you're a fellow podcaster. How's it going? And tell us more about this.
Oh, it's so good.
You know what? So this is how I continue to make lemonade out of lemons, you know?
Mhm.
It's just like one more slug in the gut right out of my divorce. I move into this incredible building, the Villa Carlotta, and this man who really like, you know, it's funny because I always wanted my dad to like take me seriously as a businesswoman. And I get that it was hard. You know, like you said, from party girl to pizza girl is a
Mhm.
really hard transition
Mhm.
for people to take seriously. But this man, you know, he did take me seriously. All of a sudden, he bought my sauce at the supermarket next door. He's like, "You're this incredible businesswoman." And yes, I was absolutely like delighted by somebody,
Who
you know,
believed in you?
who believed in me. And turns out he is a 2-time convicted con artist. He is very good at what he does. You know, he had, you know, robbed people for millions, including his own grandmother. He is
Ugh.
just one of those
Um,
people that
Evil.
is a mastermind, evil person. He got the kind of the wrath of everything bad that's ever happened to me in my life. I wasn't going to let this one go.
Yeah.
He messed
Yeah.
with the wrong bitch at the wrong time. And I mean, it's crazy what this guy went
Wow.
through just to torment me, really. A lot of what he did didn't make any sense. I didn't understand it. It wasn't all for monetary gain. It was also for this other
Game.
sick game that he
Mhm,
was
mhm.
playing. And then when my partners and I found it out, I was suicidal really for the first time. You know, I also brought so many people in. I made people believe. I felt responsible for their losses. Basically, once my partners and I found out, we
Mhm.
decided to kind of go undercover, and I got him admitting all of his crimes, you know, recorded.
Wow.
I ended up gathering victims and confronting him. I end up, you know, bringing the case to the streets and doing a huge protest outside the DA's office. I get the DA's attention. I'm ignored. And finally, it's like comes this big story. And finally, they come in. I'm the only one willing to put my face to this situation, which again, you know, I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
He's the one that needs to be ashamed. And the whole story is on Once Upon a Con. You can get it anywhere. Yeah.
Once Upon a Con. Well, this has just been the most incredible time with you. You are a
Yeah.
fascinating woman. I mean, my God, I just want to be your best friend. You've just got
Oh.
a lot of stories to share and
Too many.
super
Inspirational.
talented. Can we do some rapid fire real quick and then we'll let you go?
Let's go.
Okay.
All
Do it.
right.
Caroline, give us 3 dream dinner party guests.
Wow, that's a really hard one for me. My mom, for sure.
Mhm.
I would just love to sit there and just have dinner with her.
Sure.
My grandmother. I'd love
Mhm.
to see what she thinks of all my products, my pizza, my
Mm.
everything. That's pretty much it.
Okay, the 3 of
know?
you
That's all you
then.
need.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
3 of us hanging out,
Love
talking
it.
about where we're all at now, and yeah,
It's beautiful.
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the last book you read, or in my instance, listened to?
Yeah, Audible.
Oh, so Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Our
Great.
mama Ashley keeps telling us to read that. I listen to her podcast.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
she's like, just let them. I'm like, I get it. I get the concept, and I'm trying every day.
Well, then you don't get the concept because it's actually, I will say, once you let them, you also have to let me, and that's the
Mhm.
other part of it. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
let them, but then you focus solely on what is in your control. And she honestly helped me so
Yeah.
much.
One place you really want to travel to in the world.
I've been to Italy, but I was partying and all that time, and I
Yeah.
really just want to spend time there. I have this vision when my kids are out of the house of buying one of those like, you know,
Yeah,
$2
villas.
fixer uppers
Yeah.
and just like living there and knowing the language and like just having a different life. So
I feel like that's really on brand with your, your life, and that you will manifest that, because Pizza Girl deserves to spend some time in Italy.
agreed.
What's your favorite cuisine outside of Italian food?
Ooh, honestly, I'm now obsessed with like an Israeli, like Mediterranean meal.
Do you know Eden Grinchpan of Eden Eats?
Okay, yep, I know Eat and Eat. Yeah.
She just came out with the most incredible, it's her second cookbook, but it's Israeli. It's called Tahini Baby. And so we made a bunch of stuff from it, and it is unbelievable. Well, Caroline, thank you so much. You're really inspiring, and just really proud of you in the journey that you've had and where you are today.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And tell our listeners where they can find all of your products and follow you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Please just check out pizzagirl.com, at pizzagirl on Instagram, at Caroline D'Amore for all my crazy life stuff. And then also, we did just open our 2 first Pink and Mortars. So if you are in
Yeah,
LA or coming out, you want to visit us in Venice Beach, or you want to visit us in West Hollywood at the Pizza Girl locations.
And can I just reiterate, I highly recommend buying one of those pizza grills. It is a game changer.
Thanks, guys. Check it out.
Well, sis, we'll end it like we always do. I love you. I love your show.
I love you. I love your show, sis.